Welcome to Talking Buffalo, featuring conversations with guests from around the world of sports, media, pop culture, and all things Buffalo. With your host, Patrick Moran.
All right, what is going on, everybody? How are you doing? Welcome to a bonus episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more, and apparently your Saturday episode of Talking Buffalo as well. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you, as always, to everyone out there for watching and for listening, for following and subscribing. I truly appreciate you guys very much. You are the best. A Saturday episode of Talking Buffalo. Why? Good question. It is very, very late. In fact, technically, it's already Saturday when I'm recording this. I worked all night on Friday, and I got home, and I was restless. And this is not going to be a long episode, I promise you that, especially of all days on a Saturday. Most people don't even know that this is even dropping. This, again, is a complete bonus episode I did not intend on doing. Came home restless, and I just still had a lot on my mind from the Bills game on Thursday night. I did a post-game show immediately after, some instant reactions with Joe from Queens, which that went over very well, by the way. In fact, you know what? I want to thank everyone out there who's tuning in to this. Again, whether you're listening to it, whether you're watching it, it doesn't matter. This past week, this past Monday through Friday, was the second busiest, second most downloaded week of Talking Buffalo that we've had this entire year. So I'm very humble and very grateful to all of you for that. But anyway, when you do a game 15, 20 minutes or so right after the final whistle, you don't have too much time to really sit down and formulate some thoughts, or at least all your thoughts that you want to anyway. It's kind of just like bam, 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 bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. I enjoyed the show. It was a lot of fun, but there were some things that when I went back and I listened to it that we didn't talk about that I wanted to hit on today. There was a question that Joe asked me near the end of the broadcast. Is besides Tyler Bass completely shanking a field goal, which is going to get the worry warts out again in full force, including myself, by the way. So I'm not making fun of you. I'm among them. Besides that, though, what was there actually about this game to not like? And in that moment, I was kind of stuck. And I had to go back, which I did on Friday, by the way. I watched the All 22 game film. In fact, I watched it, a lot of plays I watched 2, 3, 4 times to come up with some opinions, which I want to share to you. One thing I love doing, by the way, and let me explain this as well. When I watch game film, I don't do it for the purpose of trying to be able to educate the audience. I'm not a smart enough X's and O's guy. Like somebody like Joe Marino, some of the guys over at Cover One, that's what they really excel at. They will talk about formations and route trees for the receivers and stunts and defensive calls and things like that I just don't know it well enough to be able to teach you. I can't even teach myself that. But what I do like watching about the film is I love to go back at the big plays. And a lot of times you'll see a big play of the game and all you remember is the play itself. Like, for an example, James Cook scoring on a 49-yard touchdown. Well, how did that get set up? Who made the key blocks? Jamarcus Ingram had that pick six that put the nail, for all intents and purposes, in the Miami Dolphins. Well, who generated that heat? Who made Tua get rid of that ball and not allow him to get everything on it? A big pass to Ty Johnson. Who was responsible for allowing Josh Allen the time to make that play work? Things like that when I go and watch the film. So I watch it, and then I kind of find like the unsung heroes on good plays or the culprits on bad plays. Last week, going back to week 1, we talked about on this show the kickoff return that Arizona ran back for a touchdown. Barely even showed a replay on TV. Well, I went and watched the film and dissected like 3 or 4 guys that were directly responsible for that. So anyway, we didn't obviously get to do that last night because we were on the air 15 minutes after the game. So there's a couple plays that I kind of wanted to break down with you. I want to answer Joe's question because I think I did find after watching the film one thing about this game from a Bills perspective that I didn't like. And there's a guy that I didn't give him much credit to on last night's live post-game show that I want to make sure I give props to. And then last but not least, I want to spend a minute or two talking about the coaches. So anyway, like I said, a Saturday episode, not promoted. I didn't say yesterday that I was going to drop one, so I don't expect too much of an audience, but you know what? If 40, 50 people are listening to this on their drive to the grocery store, or hell, if you're in Buffalo, man, it's supposed to be nice as hell out on Saturday. Maybe you're on your way to Angola or Woodlawn Beach or something like that. If 40, 50 people pop that on, or if they're messing around on their phone looking at YouTube and they check this out, it'll be well worth it. But anyway, all right, so I don't want to waste any time because I do not want this to be a long-winded episode, which it kind of already has turned into. But yeah, so that's why I'm doing this bonus Saturday episode at, let's see here, 12:49 a.m. into Saturday morning because I'm restless. There's points that I did not hit on. By the time we do the show for Monday, I kind of want to move on, talk more general stuff, NFL stuff, and stuff besides just the Bills. So I kind of want to get this out for people who are going to be able to catch us today. Actual news on the injury front. All things considered, those are 3 words that I'm going to be using a lot over the next couple minutes because it matters. It's not good news, but it's all things considered good news. Terrell Bernard, Buffalo Bills middle linebacker, and one of just 2 captains on this team, along with Josh Allen. Of course, if you watch the game, or even if you didn't by some chance, I'm sure you've heard, Terrell Bernard left the game with a pec injury early in the first quarter. It certainly felt to me at the time like he's gone. He's done. Like that pec is torn. It happened last year. We saw it happen with the Bills last year, a key player on defense. Daquan Jones tore his pec. He did it in London, and he missed most of the rest of the regular season. And that thought immediately ran through my head. But again, all things considered, on Friday, some good news. His pec is not torn. It is only strained. Now, that's not a nothing injury. That's still a pretty significant injury. Reports are he will miss about a month. But when you put that against the potential where it felt like he could miss the rest of this season, that's actually really, really good news. The Bills put him on IR, and they don't have to do that right away. They got right up until before they play their next game the following Monday, not this Monday, the Monday after against Jacksonville. You'll probably see that happen. They're going to put him on IR. That means he would miss 4 games, which would put him out about a month. And if he were to miss just those 4 games, and if he did return in about a month, that would put him back on the field for the Bills. Week 7, the Bills will be at home against the Tennessee Titans. Again, all things considered, that's good news. If you can get Terrell Bernard back and healthy for your 7th game, that's 11 games where he would be on the field for the Bills conceivably, and that would be great. More good news that happened actually before the Miami game. Again, all things considered, Teron Johnson did not go on IR before the Miami game. If I was a betting man, I would have lost money because I thought for sure that would have happened, but it didn't. And that's good because that means it's likely, that tells me that he could be back in a game or 2. And they're playing it safe. But if they were going to play really safe, they would have put him on IR before the Miami game. And I thought they would do that considering it's early in the year. The fact that they didn't tells me that he could be back as early, maybe even against Jacksonville, but maybe he misses that game and then he comes back the following week when the Bills are at Baltimore. If it's me, I'm still erring on the side of caution. And unless he is close to 100%, if not fully 100%, I'm holding them out against Jacksonville. Not that Jacksonville's a bad team, but you're at home. It's Monday night. Let's get away with Cam Lewis for another week. Get Tyrann a little more healthy, and then you get him back on the field for that Sunday night game in week 4 against the Baltimore Ravens. So again, all things considered, at least, good news with Terrell Bernard and good news with Tyrann Johnson. As far as takeaways that I really didn't cover too much on the immediate instant reaction post-game show late Thursday night. I want to start quickly with Sean McDermott. I cannot emphasize enough how impressed I have been with Sean McDermott. This, not just this season, but kind of going back to last season when they were 6-6, and then things just completely turned around. But let's just for now talk about this game on Thursday night. I know this sounds like a cliche thing to say, but I truly mean this. I really do. I think Sean McDermott absolutely coached circles around Mike McDaniel yet again. Yet again. The difference between Sean McDermott and Mike McDaniel, and I know this is hyperbole, but not a ton of hyperbole, like minimal hyperbole. The difference between Sean McDermott for me and Mike McDaniel is not quite as much as Josh Allen versus Tua, but it's not all that far off either. Like Josh Allen is clearly way better than Tua. I think Sean McDermott is clearly a way better coach than Mike McDaniel. And I'm not just talking about the X's and O's, because that's only part of being the head coach. In fact, he doesn't even really call plays. He's got 2 good coordinators, more on them too. But right off the bat, and I did talk about this a little bit on Thursday, it's worth repeating. I was surprised pleasantly in the end, but the Bills get an interception. The Bills defer. Miami takes the ball. Interception on the first drive. The Bills drive some, kind of stalls down. They don't convert on third down. Now it's 4th and 3 from the 17. I thought they were going to kick a field goal. Quite frankly, and I admitted this on Twitter and on my show last night, I wanted the Bills to get a field goal. My mindset was, you got to make sure you punish Miami for a bad Tua interception. Because if something goes wrong, you don't convert that 4th down, and Miami feels like they just got a free pass for a turnover, that doesn't bode well for Buffalo. That was my mindset in that moment. So I was like, take the points, make them pay a price for it. But Sean McDermott did not. They went for it. Josh Allen saw something. He didn't like it. Called timeout. At that point, I thought they were going to bring Tyler Bass out there. They didn't. They went for it. They converted it. Joe Brady called a beautiful play with Samuel in motion. Miami was all kinds of confused. They ended up getting a James Cook one-on-one with David Long Jr., the linebacker. Mismatch city. Hits him. Perfect stride. Bam. Easy as touchdown. The play itself is great, and it puts the Bills up 7-0, but it's so much more than that. And this is what I'm talking about with being an impressive head coach and why Sean McDermott's just so much a better coach than Mike McDaniel. The confidence of going for it on 4th down like that resonates to me on the sidelines. You're showing confidence in your offense. You're showing confidence in Joe Brady to dial up the right play, which of course he absolutely did. You're showing confidence despite knowing that Josh Allen's got a bad hand and he ain't looking to run. So it's not even like they could, fake a handoff, have him roll out and either take off or pull up and throw if somebody's open, like kind of a pass option type play or pass run option type play. I don't even think that was a consideration. Just showing a lot of confidence. I thought that brought a ton of energy to this team that lasted for the entire game. And then meanwhile, again, Mike McDaniel, the offensive guru, coaching scared out of his mind, just running the ball like crazy. The end of the first half, those last 3.5 minutes or so, that was pathetic, man. I'm talking about an artsy-fartsy coach trying to drain every single second of the clock, but you get so conservative that you essentially prevented your team from having a realistic chance to score a touchdown. It was pathetic to me. Like I said, artsy-fartsy, man. Sean McDermott's changed. And I'll die on that hill, die on the hill, that article that Tyler Dunn put on him changed him. And that's not a criticism towards Tyler Dunn, because I thought the vast majority of that criticism in that article was warranted. I really, truly do. But I think he took some of that to heart. I think he's changed. On the field, maybe in the locker room, off the field, his perception is maybe his relationship with his other coaches, some of the players. It's noticeable. It is noticeable. This is not, I've said this a few times, I'll say it again. This is not your mom and pops Sean McDermott anymore. So he deserves a hell of a lot of credit. And then also on the post-game show that I did with Joe last night, I only gave Jamarcus Ingram like glancing props. I feel like he deserves much more than that, man. This young man from UB is like the epitome of a Buffalo Bills organizational gem, an organizational find. He's been on this practice squad since 2022. He's only played 5 games over the last couple years. He had literally 0 stats last year. Did not have a stat, literally. He goes into camp. I figure he's not making his team. They're going to add a vet. You got your 2 solid starting corners. Is Kyrie Elam good enough to be the third? And you probably are going to want to get some veteran insurance. A guy like a Dane Jackson or a Levi Wallace, one of those type players to be that 4th guy. But Ingram just played well all summer long, and he impressed, and he makes the team. And then injuries set up an opportunity for him. And by the way, he's converted now, and he's playing that dime safety position. That's what he's done the first 2 weeks. And because of injuries to Bishop and to Mike Edwards, they really slowed them down for the summer, gives Ingram a chance. And he has not let go of that chance. Last week, going back to week 1, actually, that huge 4th down pass breakup might have been the best plays made all season, actually. Wins the game there, but who knows if he doesn't make that play, Arizona, or if he commits a penalty on that play, Arizona might win that game in the final seconds. So he has a good first productive game of the season. And then this past week, man, not 1, 2 interceptions. Granted, kind of a gift, but whatever, man. Makes the big play. He catches the ball, he scores a pick 6, and that's the nail. That's the nail in the Miami Dolphins. That stadium started emptying out after that play, which was relatively early in the 3rd quarter. Ingram's just another one of those like late round or like undrafted guys that Brandon Beane just finds it just become so much more useful than anyone else could have anticipated. Christian Benford, a 6th rounder who's starting very well. DeMar Hamlin, a 6th rounder, a starter right now. Dane Jackson, a 7th rounder who had a good Bills career, all things considered. Ryan Bates, maybe Braylon Spector going forward now, man. These are just a few examples. So I just wanted to make sure that I gave some good props to Jamarcus Ingram because he's certainly deserving. Quick break, come back, a couple more thoughts, and actually a couple things that I saw on film as well. All right, I am back here overnight recording a bonus episode, an unplanned bonus episode of Talking Buffalo. I got a couple notes here that I scribbled down, and like I said, I'm just not in a mood to sleep. I'm in the mood to put out something on Saturday because I still got a lot on my mind, and by Monday, I want to turn the page and go to some new stuff as well. So I kind of want to empty out my thoughts, empty out my notebook here for you if you happen to be around to listen or watch this by chance on Saturday or some point over the weekend. As for Tua, real quick, man, it's a tale of 2 things here. It's a tale of the quarterback and a tale of the human being. The quarterback just ain't that good. I've always thought he's been overrated. I think he's a product of having the best wide receiver tandem in the NFL. Time and time again, we see him light it up against chumps, especially in the early part of the season before the mistakes start to mount up against the good teams. Usually it's late in the season when that happens. This time it was week 2. I mean, he was awful. Some bad decisions, not a strong arm, and he's just pre-injury stuff, before he got hurt on Thursday. He was just awful, man. Bad decisions, bad arm strength. He's not that good if he can't chuck it out to a spot where his superstar receivers are. Now, he's a great thrower when it comes to like anticipation. He's a great anticipation thrower, but that's it. The end. And if you could stop that or if you could limit it, he's going to make mistakes. You've seen it time and time again. Not the worst quarterback, but he's a box score quarterback. Like he'll look good in the stat box, but so many times against good teams, especially, he just doesn't play well. That's Tua the quarterback. As for the injury, look, it's not even that Tua suffered like another concussion. That in itself is terrible and scary, okay? It's the way that his face and his body looked in the moments that it happened. He had that fencing with his hand it's hard to even think about right now. And his struggle to like coherently, get to the sidelines and to the locker room just did not look right. I mean, it's like the lights weren't on, you know what I mean? Or the lights were on, I should say, but nobody was home. That's what I was trying to say there. Something looked really off, understandably so. And during the time I'm talking to my wife during the game, I'm like, where, excuse my language, is the fucking card? How do you not bring a golf cart or a cart out for this guy and get him to the locker room quicker? They got him walking there and he's clearly dazed and confused. I don't know. It's just, if I'm a loved one of his, if I care about him as a person, if he's somebody I love, it scares the shit out of us just as fans and human beings. But imagine being close to him. Imagine caring about more than your football team. Imagine caring about the person above football. If you're part of that circle with him, if it's me, screw football. What I saw on Thursday night and what I've seen previously, you've combined all that. I'm like, look, man, get out now. Get out now while, God willing, you're still relatively healthy. It's scary. And I hope, and it's not me being a Bills fan saying, oh, Miami's going to stink with Skylar Thompson or whatever. I don't care about that right now, man. Just care about your health. I don't want to see him play anymore. He's a good man. He says the right things. He seems to live the right way. He's got a very positive attitude and outlook. So many of us can only be so lucky to kind of have that attitude, man. And especially being in Buffalo, or actually it don't even matter for Buffalo because we all saw it. But, we almost watched somebody die on a football field a few years ago, which ironically, of course, that same person was involved in this latest Tua head injury. I have no interest in seeing something like that happen again. What happened to DeMar Hamlin still is fresh in my mind. And again, incredibly scary. And I don't know if Tua gets hurt again. I don't know. It's a tough situation, but money aside, team aside, all that stuff, health comes first. And just doesn't seem like a guy who's going to be able to withstand getting hit. So I don't know. It's a tough decision. I hope for the best for him first and foremost. Just what I'm trying to say here. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback, but I think he's a hell of a person, and that matters a lot too. All right. So like I said, I was watching some film, and I just wanted to bring up 3 plays specifically real quick here. These are 3 of the biggest plays of the game for the Buffalo Bills, and I'm going to reiterate this. I'm not an X's and O's guys, at least to the point where I could educate you, but I like to watch film so that I could see who did a great job or I could see who blew it on some of these games, the biggest plays of these games. Now, in the Ingram pick 6, that puts Buffalo up 31-10. That's the dagger with Miami. The credit on that play, if you didn't watch or if you weren't paying attention to it, AJ Epinesa, he deserves almost all the credit. He lined up at the inside left defensive tackle position, actually, not on the edge. And he was right next to Ed Oliver. He beat their left guard, Lester Cotton, who was in the game, I think because of an injury. And then he went around the corner of Drew, who kind of stunted a little bit inside. Von Miller kind of went from the right edge to the middle, and that Oliver. So it was kind of like a double stunt, and it worked. It prevented Tua from taking off. AJ Epinesa blew past this guy, started closing in on Tua. Tua threw the ball, could not get everything on it, and did not have a strong enough arm, I should say, to get rid of it and throw it away. Ingram picks it off, pick six, bam, pretty much ball game. So AJ Epinesa deserves a ton of credit. Plus, has a really good blitz call or stunt call, whatever you want to call it, from Bobby Babbage. On James Cook's 49-yard touchdown run, which came one play after Ed Oliver had a sack on fourth down. Which, by the way, that play, you want to talk about a man's play? No stunts there. Just Ed Oliver straight up abusing Robert Jones, the guard, and bringing down Tua for a sack. So anyway, the Bills take over on the 49 of Miami in the first play. James Cook scores on a 49-yard touchdown run. On that play, Osiris Torrance, Spencer Brown, Alec Anderson, all three of them basically triple team number 90, who was the defensive end hand. David Long Jr. makes a horrible read, goes into the wrong gap, guesses wrong. Their other linebacker, Brooks, doesn't get over quick enough. And once Cook got to that second level, Jordan Poyer was there, but Jordan Poyer just straight up, he ain't outrunning him. Did not have the speed to run James Cook down. Unsung hero on that play, Connor McGovern had a really good block, one-on-one with number 96, Peely, that allowed Cook to get through that first wave. So he had a triple team to his right, and then Connor McGovern doing his job one-on-one to the left to get to that level. That combined with Long guessing in the wrong gap, sprung him, bam, touchdown. And then the other play was a 3rd and 12 from the Miami 34. This was in the second quarter. Ty Johnson comes out of the backfield, and he just flat out beats. $24 million per year cornerback Jalen Ramsey. Looked kind of stunned that Johnson took the route deeper. I think he was waiting for him to kind of break off and be a check down guy, but Ty Johnson just kept going. Credit on that play should go to the right tackle, Spencer Brown. He did a good job on Jalen Phillips to give Allen a chance to be able to roll out to the right and make the play. Plus, Jalen Phillips didn't do himself any favors. He slipped a little bit, made the job easier. But anyway, a really nice play for Spencer Brown and a good dial-up by Joe Brady and Josh Allen, of course, with a great throw. But I just thought it was funny to note that if you didn't know who Ty Johnson beat, it wasn't a linebacker, it wasn't a safety, it was the $24 million man, Jalen Ramsey, who got beat on that. All right, winding down here, but before we get out, Joe asked me at the end of Thursday's show what I didn't like about the game. And at the time, I could only come up with Tyler Bass. And before the end of the broadcast, a commenter because it was on YouTube Live, he said the Terrell Bernard injury, which I'm like, of course, yeah, obviously, you don't like that. Terrell Bernard got hurt. That sucked too. But if we're not counting that, I didn't have an answer. So I watched the film and I came up with one. And it's admittedly it's a borderline nitpick. But if I'm being honest with you guys, and I've been honest all week, by the way, if you didn't watch the show the last few days, I picked Miami to win this game by 10 points. So I called myself out multiple times for that. I also admitted that I did not think the Bills should have went for it on 4th and 3 on that first drive of the game. And I was wrong. So I've been wrong about a lot. But anyway, I watched the film, and the one thing that kind of stuck out to me a little bit is I didn't love Keon Coleman much in this game. Not all his fault, but I didn't love Keon Coleman in this game. He played the most snaps of any wide receiver again. He had 41 snaps. By the way, he played 91% of the snaps for the Bills in Miami. No catches and just one target. Now, I didn't really spend too much time watching every one of his routes and if he was open and if Josh missed him and stuff like that. But from what I didn't look like he was getting separation. Doesn't look like there was a lot of opportunity for him. Now, the Bills ran the football a ton, and when they did throw the ball, it was usually real quick. So again, I'm going to be careful with how much I would blame Keon Coleman for having, no catches and just one target. I'll be kind of, be careful with that a little bit, and that's fine. But also didn't see the greatest results blocking. Like, he looked ineffective, even lazy a couple times here and there. Maybe lazy is a strong word. Let's just stick with ineffective. But it wasn't working. And then I looked up his PFF grades for the game, blocking, and it was only 57.3. Only Khalil Shakir had a lower blocking grade for receivers. That was 38.2. But guess what? Khalil Shakir ain't getting paid to block, right? He's getting paid. He's making his bones right now with the Buffalo Bills catching the football, and he's doing a magnificent job, of doing that as well. That's it, man. Keon Coleman, didn't love him. I didn't think he blocked very well. I didn't think he was effective. There's no factor whatsoever in the passing game. Again, one target, no catches. Not entirely on him, though. But again, if you dig a little bit, but if that's probably the one thing I can come up with that I just said that I didn't love about it. So that's about it with that. Kind of put a bow on this stuff too. Gotta be, I'm happy. Okay. I promise you I'm happy. I'm excited, dude. I'm recording a podcast on a Saturday morning. It's 1:14 a.m. because I wanted to get a bonus episode out because I'm still thinking about this game. What's it at this point now? 28 hours later. And I'm dropping this on a Saturday where I know most people ain't going to be watching this or listening to this, but yet I'm doing it anyway. I'm happy. So I am. I'm excited. But let's be careful here, man. If, following social media today, it's got like Bills are going to the Super Bowl vibes already, man. Let's not get too high on our own supply after just 2 games. Let's kind of take a step back and have a little bit of perspective here, a little bit of more cautious optimism, so to speak. Look, Arizona ain't a good team, okay? Period. And Miami didn't play like one on Thursday, which they never do against Buffalo, which is another story in itself. Not really going to get into that today. I'm not taking anything away from the Bills, man. They've been pretty superb for 6 of the first 8 quarters, 8 quarters of their season. They stunk in the first half against Arizona, and then they woke up, and they've been playing really good ever since. I'm just not going to anoint them yet. Like, the Bills are back, this and stuff like that let's chill with that for a little bit, man, because I'm going to tell you right now, sooner or later, the Bills receivers are going to have a big game. They have not needed to yet. The Bills have played 2 games, and I won't even just say receivers. No pass catcher has even hit 55 yards yet. But that shit means nothing to these first 2 games. But at some point, it's going to matter. They're going to need an 85 to 100-yard game for Khalil Shakir. They're going to need Dalton Kincaid to have 7 to 8 catches for 75 yards or something like that. And they can't all be little dump offs like they were Thursday in Miami, which were fine for now. But they're going to need those guys. Keon Coleman is going to have days where he can't have 1 target and no catches. It's not going to work. It's going to result in a loss. Sooner or later, they're going to feel the loss of the injuries out of defense. They're going to have to. That's too much talent right now, okay? You're down Matt Milano. You're down Terrell Bernard. For now, you're down Tyron Johnson as well, man. That's 2 all-pro defenders and a third who is a very capable middle linebacker who's also a captain, right? Sooner or later, you're going to feel those losses. It's just, you're going to. They're 2-0 right now, and that's awesome. But, again, now you got to look going forward. They play a Jacksonville team next week. They play like shit against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They seem like they always play really shitty against Jacksonville for whatever reason. I don't know. It's like when the Bills or Miami plays the Bills. Not on that level, but just, I don't know. The offense just never seems to play well against Jacksonville. They don't seem to make plays on defense. Of course, it's a home game, prime time, advantage Buffalo there. I'm not saying I expect Jacksonville to win, just pointing out they usually play like shit against Jacksonville. And then after that, man, they go on the road. 3 ridiculously tough games in a row on the road at Baltimore, at Houston, at the New York Jets, where they're likely going to be underdogs in all 3 of those games. I mean, they're playing 3 quarterbacks who are more talented than Kyler Murray and Tua. And Kyler Murray and Tua are not bad quarterbacks, but they're not as good as Lamar Jackson or CJ Stroud or even Aaron Rodgers, as much as I fucking hate that guy. Now, if the Bills can handle Jacksonville at home and they can win, say, one of those 3 killer road games and they go 2-2 over the next 4 games, that'd be 4-2 for the season. And considering all these key injuries and that they're still getting their feet wet a little bit with the receivers, the new ones and everything in this offense, I'd sign up for that right now. If I tell you right now, and you're out there and you're listening and watching, the Bills are going to go 2-2 over the next 4, would you sign up for that right now? I would. Because it's, this is fun right now, but it's conceivable, man. They could be 3-3 after 6. Or hell, realistically, they could even be 2-4 after 6 if they don't continue to play really well. If guys like Dorian Williams and Braylon Spector and, these safeties that I'm still not sold on, if they're not playing, Jamarcus Ingram comes in and don't make plays, Cam Lewis, they could be in trouble over this next month, man. They're playing some really good football teams. Now, last point. That said, I think this is a really solid football team. And I do think that they're putting the league on notice right now. I think they are, and I said this at the beginning, I think they are incredibly well coached, both sides of the football, and their CEO, head coach is Sean McDermott, who is doing an incredible job. The energy of this team, I think the players, without question, buy into this system right now 100%. I think there's more depth on the Buffalo Bills than I gave them credit for, and I think we saw a lot of that on display in Miami. And I think they're actually going to get better in a lot of ways. Like these receivers, as they get more familiar with Josh Allen, I'm talking about Keon, I'm talking about Samuel, I'm talking about Mac Hollins, as they get more familiar with Josh Allen, I think this offense is going to get better. And I think the defense is eventually going to get better simply because, knock on wood, they're just going to get healthier. When they get healthier, just the talent when a guy like Teron Johnson and Terrell Bernard are on the field. And if all things go well by early December, hopefully, Matt Milano, your all-pro linebackers back too. Sounds like a defense that if they're healthy for a stretch run, there's just a lot more talent with those guys. So anyway, it's going to do it for this episode. To put a quick recap in it. Love the job Sean McDermott, not just against Miami, but he's been doing now since going back to the last third of last season. So love to make sure to give to Jamarcus Ingram because he deserves it. Highlighting some unsung heroes on some of the Bills' biggest key plays, including A.J. Epinesa, including a great one-on-one block for Connor McGovern to spring James Cook, stuff like that. Chill a little bit, anointing this team, but also it's right to be excited because I do feel like this is a solid team that is putting the league on notice. Monday show, I'll have Joe from Queens back with me. More Bills talk. We'll also talk about how Sunday goes around the league, and we'll have some non-football stuff as well. Not a lot, but at least a couple fun segments that I got playing with Joe. All right, guys, it is 1:21 a.m. My voice is getting really sore from blabbering for 41 minutes. I lied again. I thought this was going to be like a 25 to 30-minute show. I should have known better. I just don't know how to shut up, but I will shut up right now. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be back. Brand new episodes again starting Monday.